Hello, everyone. RT Bear here, coming to you live from Hack Shack Studios. Yeah, hope you guys are all doing well. It's good to see you in the chat. I already have people. Yes, this is going to be good. This is going to be a good show. We got what is this? Asian the Time Outlaw. Oh, the Time Outlaw. Hail Art. Hail. I don't know what to call you. Asian O. Asian O. It's kind of like Agent O. It sounds very spy, very 007. Passmaster, yeah, we got a party now. We got a wrencher in the hizzy, as the kids say. Evening, Passmaster Dan. People love the Dan. Dan from the past. Oh man, we got Joe Bernardo. Aloha, buddy. Hey Joe, that was a cool little ad on the Bro Show last night, man. I don't know if you guys watched the Bros, but we were going over CB's how to review or what he looks for when he reviews portfolios. This is CB from Marvel Comics, and we were just ripping that guy a new one because he deserves it, and he's a big colossal blowhard and a-hole. But anyway, there was a thing like he was using as example. CB was of like Hawkeye shooting arrows, right? And he's just shooting at a normal target that if you went to an archery, lane or whatever they call that, that's what you would be shooting at, right? And so we were looking at it, it was like, this is not worthy of Hawkeye. And then finally, what was it? Graham noticed that he's shooting it over the trees at the target, but the storytelling was not clear, and it was 9 panels, right? So we're kind of bagging on that. And then I said, like in the day they would show Hawkeye do target practice. He would be in his uniform, and he'd be on like these mechanical things on his feet, and he'd be like shooting at robots and stuff. And it was really cool. And as soon as I said that, Joe sent an image, and it was that exact panel that I was thinking of. So thank you, Joe. That was very, very cool. I like interaction like that. That's the best part of what we do. We got Leg Kick 1. What's up, Bud Day? And let's see who else. We got some good people. You guys are all chiming in. Good evening, Art. Yeah, Joe says I'm going to Heroes Con. Come on, I'll be with Andy and Dennis, Dan Frega, and Bill. Just Bill. You just know him as Bill. Let's see. Asian explains his name. Asian O, the name, Time Outlaws, the professional or the profession. Oh, cool. Coolio. Hey, who's this guy? Who is this guy? I have no idea. All right, man. Well, I'm glad we got a show going. We got people in the chat. You guys feel free, chime in. This is interactive. But let's get the people in here. Let's get the guys in here. So Clint is turning into like a good friend. He's kind of a confidant behind the scenes, and also the sexiest guy in comics, guarantee. And he's got a new project out. It's called The Bad Guys, and it looks fantastic. He's going to be launching very, very soon. So we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. But let's get Clint Helinski in here. What's up, brother?
It's hot right now. It's hot. It's summertime. It's hot. The topics are hot. Comicsgate is hot. There's drama. There's turmoil. There's good guys. There's bad guys. There's the bad guy right here.
Yeah.
On Friday, launching on Friday. The bad guy. But yeah, it's all going down. It's kind of like it's always been. It's like there's just a lot of action in comics. There's a lot of action in Comicsgate. There's a lot of drama. There's people we know in drama, and there's people. It's just there's always something. There's like
what Clint is going around the block with is we're going to talk about our buddy. I still consider him a buddy, Rob Hunter. We did try really, really hard. Hours after the show, the Pontificators used to come on here quite a bit. And we're going to talk about that, but mostly in just kind of like a cautionary tale way. Not so much like, that MFer.
Not
just kind
of, but like things you can do wrong.
Yeah, just a constructive, conversation. I think it's important, and it's important for not only us to vent and get it out, and then just kind of double down on pledging where we stand with our crowd fund, but also just to maybe let you guys know a little bit of the behind the scenes stuff, and what could have led to this, and how these things potentially happen. Speaking of a mistake, and a misstep.
Oh no.
None of that's true. I'm looking at his face right now. I can't go.
You gotta
through
say
it.
these intros for me, because that's just water. That's water off a duck's back.
Yeah, but you know what? I'm giving Todd enough time to come up with something that he can slam me back with.
We love Todd.
We do love Todd. Yeah,
Art gives Todd crap because he loves Todd so much. That's the truth.
And I know he can take it. Yeah, we kid because we care.
We care.
Well, we got Todd Mulrooney. Todd Mulrooney is a brilliant artist, and he's doing all kinds of stuff. And I do believe Mr. Mulrooney's got a project.
No,
what you're talking about?
I love it. I love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Oh shit. Oh no, I better watch out. Yeah, Todd gave me the look.
You might not think it, but there is Italians in Texas.
Okay. Is that a threat? Is that a roundabout threat?
I can tell you right now, I'm already jealous of Todd's T-shirt.
What is it? A Superman or what is it?
It's legitimate movie.
Oh, it's the new logo.
Yeah, it's the new logo Superman movie T-shirt. Nice. Did you just get that?
Yeah, for Father's Day.
Oh, that's sweet, dude. That's
and
sweet.
A Captain America one.
Oh, cool.
Well, just like great news, like that Superman movie is slated to do very, very well. So I'm happy about that. I don't want to see doom and gloom on anything. No. I want everything to do well. Everything comic book related. Like I remember when we used to look forward to the Marvel movies. That was like an event, you know.
Right.
And now you kind of just like whatever. Fantastic Four.
There was a long time where we probably were younger and thought, oh, we'll never get to this point that we're at.
Yeah.
Because things like that Fantastic Four movie happened. And I happened to see it because a guy from my comic book store whose name is Mark Sykes went out to work for Roger Corman, and he sent us all a copy, like a group of friends. So I got to see it really early. And of course, we sat there and watched it like, oh my God, it's going to be amazing. And it was like terrible.
Yeah.
So we thought, oh, we're just so far away from all this that we'll never, we'll never get there. And then, of course, Iron Man happens. And it's like, wow, they can really do this. Like, this is possible. It doesn't look hokey or it doesn't look funky or it doesn't look, shitty. It really, really looks really well.
Yeah.
Remember the trailer, the Iron Man trailer, where he's flying alongside those planes? And he goes like Mach 1 and just it's pulled back, but you're like, holy shit, that's badass, man.
Right. And then Thor, you go to Asgard, and I would have never thought possible. There's no way you're going to Asgard. And of course, it wasn't hokey, and it was a little it was like artistic a little bit, but man, it looked great.
The Warrior 3, Sith, all the stuff.
Yeah.
All of it.
You remember, Todd, early on Pontificators, we were saying, like, how do you cast Thor? How do you find a human being that can play Thor? And then they found Hemsworth, and you're like,
6'4", blue-eyed, blonde-haired Australians will fill the bill.
You know what? I just saw a lineup. It was kind of the pretense was bad, but a lineup of all the Marvel actors, for the first couple phases, the main guys,
and they looked older.
You see Hemsworth right next to Chris Evans, and you think Chris Evans is a big guy, right? And Hemsworth is like a head taller than that dude. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, but they did it. I don't know if they're going to be able to do it again, because when we saw the casting for those first couple phases, even to T'Challa, the Black Panther, Chadwick Boseman, R.I.P. I mean, it was brilliant.
Yeah.
And now even in the trailers, we're looking at the Fantastic Four casting and go, yeah.
Some of those things we got completely lost in and weren't looking at it with like critical eyes. Like Skinny Steve, that shit was amazing. You know, when you jumped on the grenade and you were like,
Skinny Steve. Yeah.
So
and the thing is Hollywood always gets their hooks in. And like Hollywood has their hooks deep into Marvel now. And so they're not casting, they're not writing scripts for the best Marvel movie. They're just playing to the old Hollywood tropes of these actors, these talent agents, these studios. They're just funneling money into those now, as opposed to trying to make the best Marvel movie. Now it's like Hollywood has always been a money grab, and once you get a franchise so big like Marvel has become, it's just siphoning off all the money that they can off of it, and they don't care about making good movies anymore. And I mean, unless like Secret Wars and Doomsday, man, they'll have to make me. I'll have to see it to believe it, because I mean, Captain America 4 was atrocious, and the last one, it was a good story, but it was too dark. And it's like, you want to have fun at the theaters. Like they've stacked the deck against themselves. So and James Gunn has made like a fun looking movie with Superman.
Well, the thing is, the reason Todd put this in the green room, and the reason I grabbed this is because, we were talking about Marvel, and at one point, Marvel did talk to the artists, and they were connected to the Marvel publishing. And so James Gunn, at least up to this point, it seems like he's connected with the creators and the people that are making these books. And so this is a cool shot. I think this is kind of an ode to Kevin McGuire's, Justice League covers where everybody's got their arms folded and it's a photo from above. And that's Kevin right behind Jim Lee. Jim Lee is like to the left of James Gunn. He's in the front there. And then the guy behind it, that's Snyder, right?
And then, I don't know.
Could be.
Yeah, and then Jerry.
I think I would put Superman in the middle and then everybody rotating out from him. I like that James Gunn is in front of Superman.
Well, I think like it looks like they were kind of putting all the creatives in front of it. Like they wanted to shine the light on the creatives, and not get like Superman, like the because there's Lex Luthor back there too. So I think it's cool. There's Jerry Ordway. There's Dan Jurgens.
Dan Jurgens in the middle.
Yeah, and then is that Aaron?
Mark
what's that?
Waid.
The only one easy to spot Jim Lee to me and Dan Jurgens.
Oh my gosh, Mark is looking kind of decrepit. Sorry, Mark.
I don't think that's him.
That's what he looks like now.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know who the ladies are. Is this
that was my question. The girl in the middle and the one off to her right shoulder. Who the hell are they?
I don't know who any of the women are. I think this is Frank Quietly. That's
Frank Quietly for sure.
And then I don't know the two gentlemen.
Is that Tomasi just to the right of Lex Luthor in the back? Is that Tomasi?
You know what? I think you might be right. And then the two guys that are up on top next to the blonde and between Jerry Ordway, I don't know who those are, but it's Tom King is one of the guys that James Gunn likes, right?
He's doing the Supergirl movie.
Yeah, so maybe one of those two are Tom King. And I'm sorry, I don't recognize any of these ladies.
Yeah, there's a lot of there's like a good 1/3 of people that I don't recognize at all.
Well, I think we nailed all of them, with the exception of the ladies, and then the one guy that's I guess behind Wade, the tall guy in the blue shirt.
Who's the bald guy with the beard in the back left?
That's Aaron. What's his name? The writer.
Snyder.
It's Aaron. What is his name? Somebody in the chat, I think, knows his name.
Okay.
It's Aaron. Blah blah blah. I can't remember his last name now. Yeah. But basically, I think we got everybody except that. You know what? No, I was gonna say Jeff Loeb.
No, that's not Jeff Loeb.
That's not Jeff Loeb. But that was a good call with Pete Tomasi. I think that is Pete Tomasi. But sorry, ladies, didn't know who you were. But yeah, this is like, it seems like, Gunn is going, well, these are the comic book creators. These are the guys. So they invited them to the set, all that stuff.
I like that. I like they have Pete. If that is Pete Tomasi, and I'm not 100% sure it is, but I like they have Pete Tomasi in there, but they don't have Jeff Johns in there. Like Jeff Johns is legitimate a Superman creator in the last decade as any of those guys, but
right,
he's the old regime, so it's like you can't have him in there.
Right, but the thing is, like, it's just it's Jay. I think it's Jason Aaron. I think that's the guy that
Has he done anything with Superman though? I don't
know if any. I mean, it's like Kevin McGuire's not a Superman guy. Like they're not all Superman guys. I think like what they do is, like, I've been invited to some of those things. It's very cool. It's just like people that live or are, close, that are in proximity, so they invite people out. And
sometimes it's the politics and it's the times, and it's like, oh, you can show up for this and your politics fit in with this. Yeah, we'll have you over, kind of thing.
Yeah, I got to tour like the Batman Returns set and everything, and meet some of those guys, and even the one with Arnold. What was that? Was that Batman and Robin?
Batman or Forever? Robin, yeah.
Yeah, so I got to walk on the sets of those. And
you were rubbing the bat nipples. You were just like, this is interesting. This is an interesting design choice.
What was interesting though is, like, because I collect a lot of stuff. You can see the Bat Cow back there, but they had, like, it was just like kind of like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, where they're like back in like the sound stages. There's just weird stuff going on. And there was this woman, and she had one of those like garment racks, and they were the suits. They were the bat suits. There were multiples, and I was like, "Oh shit, I could take one of those."
Just snag one and run with it, man.
Even though it had the nipples, I still would have enjoyed.
Put it on eBay for like $80,000 and like just let it slide.
Yeah, we got Paul Taylor in the house. What's up, Paul? We got Jay Lee. Will you miss all big fun at WBD shareholders meeting? WB is breaking up and going to split to DC. Yeah, I think it's a good thing.
Yeah,
I do think it's a good thing. I think that actually Disney should have done it a few years ago. It just becomes too much of a beast. Like, how do you manage all those IPs and stuff? It's crazy.
Well, and this is what I wonder is, so they're splitting the companies up into two categories, and it's basically like all the movie, all the streaming, all the IP, which DC Comics is in the IP. They're splitting that off into one company, and then they're splitting the other companies into all the cable, like TV show, like cable channels and TNT and all that stuff. But cable's dying. Like, streaming is the future. So this almost looks to me like they're dumping all their debt into the cable channels and splitting that off from all the profit channels that they have, and they're just going to let one die on the vine, and then they've got the WB and they got the streaming and the movies and all the thing over here, and they're debt free from it. And I don't know anything about finance or business or whatever, but it's like, if they can do that, it seems like a great idea, but I don't know how they do that, how they just dump all that debt into all of these channels that are garbage, basically.
Yeah, but it's also just, I think it's not just the debt, which is probably a good idea to like trim the fat and then, because like Zaslav is overseeing all the good stuff, and it's kind of a cool thing that Zaslav is connecting with DC Publishing and the DC cinematic stuff. And then of course, Harry Potter, stuff like that. So you get the idea that he's looking at this stuff as the future of Warner Brothers. You know what I mean? Like he didn't put that in that other category.
He's looking at IP. He's looking at IP as dollars in our not debt. It's making us profit. Superman, like, let James Gunn rip with this, get the new Harry Potter on HBO, and like, let's make some money. That's what he's looking at.
Yeah, well, Doc Brewski says the streaming bubble will burst. The amount of subscriptions, I say it already has. I think the streaming wars, like, there's already winners, there's already losers. The thing is, I think they're all holding on to these cable divisions because they're still not sure. Like, you would think like they would have cut loose on that stuff, a year ago, but they didn't. And I mean, they were willing to cut loose movie theaters for streaming. You know what I mean? And now they're looking at that as like, well, that's a good revenue stream. And you watch these Blu-rays and all these home, movies and things. I guarantee they're going to start selling again. They're going to start marketing.
They're going to come back. All the DVD stuff, because they realize they lost so much money on all those physical copies. And like all the studios are like, this was a huge mistake. They're going to backtrack on that. And this stuff is not going to get released on streaming as quick as it has been. They're going to make a shift for it for sure.
Yeah, because they realize that they put all the eggs in one basket. And then some of these bigger entities like Disney was convinced that they were going to come out on top, and holy shit, did they crash and burn?
Yeah,
it is really interesting on an all-in kind of way of doing business, and it's weird because they did it during COVID, and these people were so short-sighted that they didn't realize COVID wasn't going to last forever. You know what I mean? Like, COVID was it's a moment in time, but what are you going to do after that? So they're all patting themselves on the back going, oh yeah, we kicked ass, not realizing that everybody's stuck at home and they're just looking for something to do,
No.
Let me get this. Thank you, Leg Kick One, for $5 super chat. Did you guys see Tom King got a showrunner on animated Mr. Miracle animated series? Yeah, and I've heard James Gunn is looking at Tom King as like the guy. I know comic book people don't really care for him, but
this is where my spider senses like start going off. Like, who is Tom King's big connection? Because when you see like one name start popping up over and over again, who's never done anything that's really sold books.
Whoa.
Well, he's never. He came out of nowhere.
Whoa.
He came out of nowhere.
Oh, wait, hold on. Let Todd make his point.
Go ahead, Todd.
Well, all you got to do is look at the title of books that he's done and where they placed for DC. And Nightwing was a top-selling book.
What did he do?
He was also Tom King was also the one that changed Nightwing into for a while he was called Grayson. Those were all huge hits for him. Even the stuff he did with Mitch Gayards, that was all like Mr. Miracle. And
was he the one that wrote that the wedding stuff? Was that Tom King that
the Batman wedding stuff,
Batman and Catwoman kind of thing? That was Tom King, right?
Yeah, it was Tom King. He worked
that was
with
a horrible idea.
Yep. So he got thrown on one of DC's most popular characters and got let to do whatever he wanted with it. And then he got put on Batman and he got to do the wedding issues with Batman and Catwoman. What did he do before that? Where did he come from? Was he an indie creator? Did he do his own characters? Did he establish himself? Like, how did he get those jobs?
Right.
Those aren't jobs that just fall into people's laps.
I don't know. Todd knows more about him than I do. What do you say, Todd?
Well, he's been around for a while. I mean,
doing what? Doing what before Nightwing? Doing what before?
Well, he was part of the 52.
Okay.
So he just showed up at DC, and DC just handed him like just comic books and characters, and like write whatever you want, have freedom, go wild, like do interesting things. Because a lot of writers don't get that freedom when they get their first job at DC. That's my question is Tom King showed up out of nowhere and got
He used to work for the CIA.
Exactly. That to me is a hard transition from I used to work at the CIA to now I get to write whatever comic books I want at DC Comics. And to me, I got a few questions, curiosities. I'm interested. Like as a comic book creator, I always want to know how somebody got their job. A lot of times I can like look at what they've done and see the path. With Tom King, I don't see the path, and I'm very curious as to how somebody who worked for the CIA suddenly gets all these.
He wrote a novel.
Yeah. Well, it says here, Tom King, a writer, obviously, Wikipedia. Tom King, born whatever, CIA officer, is best known for writing a novel, A Once Crowded City, the vision for Marvel Comics. The vision for Marvel Comics, the Sheriff of Babylon for the DC Comics imprint Vertigo, and Batman Miracle, Superman, Woman of Tomorrow, and then it says received in 2018 Eisner for Batman books, and Mr. Miracle shared the award with whoever. In January 23 was announced by DC Studios chair, co-chairman, James Gunn, that King would be one of the architects of the new DC Universe media franchise of feature films. It was also announced that King's Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow miniseries would be adapted to the film. Okay, King primarily grew up in Southern California, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? King interned at DC Comics and Marvel Comics, where he was an assistant to X-Men writer Chris Claremont. Okay, that's pretty cool. Okay. Before joining the CIA.
So this is the backstory that I was curious about, because I didn't know a lot about the other things until he showed up at DC at like
right. Oh, here we go. 2014, King was chosen to co-write Grayson for DC Comics alongside Tim Seeley and John. What is that? Michael Joan? I don't know how to say his name on art. After pinning Nightwing number 30, King, Seeley, and whatever launched Grayson. This is stuff that Todd was talking about. Relaunch classic DC character series Omega Men. I always liked the Omega Men. Was produced in 2015. Let's see if there's any Kyle Rayner. Wait, what is this? Omega Men created in 81. The DC cosmic equivalents to Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy, Alan Moore's Watchmen.
I guarantee this guy has a super professional LA agent.
Oh yeah,
doing these deals for him, because those are he has more of a background than I thought he did. But those are big jumps any way you slice it, and he is getting good gigs all the way along the way. And it still just is it's like, how is every movie makes onto a bigger book, onto a bigger name thing, and like the sales. Show me where his sales were, blowing people away for his writing.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Wait, here's I see that Damon Lindelof. He's a Hollywood guy. In May 2024, it was announced that King would be the writer and executive producer of HBO's Lanterns, the DC series, alongside Damon Lindelof.
That's a big jump right there.
Yeah, HBO gave the 8 episodes straight to series order to series. That's weird. Per the official log line, the series follows. Is that the new one? This is old, isn't this? So
No,
that
no,
Damon,
no. This is the new Green Lanterns thing. He's attached to the new Green Lantern show on HBO.
okay, because like Damon,
that's part of the Gunn universe.
right? Because Damon, I don't think is part of that anymore.
No, no. Well, he might not be, but Tom King is. Like
Okay,
Tom King showed up about 8 years ago, and everything that he was doing in comics, whether it was sales wise or not, was a success, deemed a success. You can look at the sales numbers on it, maybe not accurate, but
right.
like everything he did, he got pushed up the food chain. And like
Well,
that's not an accident.
Yeah, sometimes.
Well, he's won some awards, right?
Yeah,
Nightwing won
You can, if you want to, you can shove an award in front of anybody. Like this guy has never. His name is never sold comics.
He's earned it.
I don't think he has. I don't think he has.
Why hasn't he?
I think he's had everything plopped down in front of him.
Why do you say that?
Liberal
that's not how it works.
Like patted him on the back.
That's not how it works. You pitch. You go in there and you pitch, and they go, "Oh yeah."
Anybody can pitch.
That. You don't plop things in front of a guy and say, "Go ahead and write Green Lantern," or "Go ahead and write."
Yeah, you do. You do. And the editor is told to hire you.
But you know it doesn't work that way. So why do you run your mouth like that?
It does work that way.
Absolutely, run your mouth like you know how shit works, but you already know how it works.
I absolutely know how it works. This guy has had everything greenlit
with his character.
He's had everything greenlit in front of him the entire time. He's never had a hiccup.
Pontificators, right? You're gonna rewrite fucking history?
It's history, but it's.
Why don't you give the fucking guy the credit he deserves and stop running your fucking mouth?
I'll run my mouth, but like. Tell me anything that he's done that is sold.
Sold? Go look.
Yeah, Batman. Batman sells for everybody. Batman sells for everybody.
There are a lot of reasons why people get jobs, and it's not always based on talent. So
you know that.
What's that?
Nothing gets plopped to a guy and say, "Hey, what can you do with this?" You usually go with an idea, and maybe you change that idea if they won't give you the original character you want. Well, I can make it work for this character. Okay. Yeah, we'd like to see Green Lantern do that. But it's not plopped in front of you. Like, here, go ahead, take Green Lantern. That doesn't happen.
I have seen jobs plopped in front of people, though, just to be completely honest. But the thing is, everything doesn't mean that this is exactly how it happened, because we don't know. We're speculating.
No, and he's just dogging the guy, even though he's earned it.
He's earned to be dogged? Yeah, you know what?
No, he hasn't earned to be dogged. He's been a professional for 12 years and written stories that have done well.
Yeah, I mean, he wouldn't be where he's at. I think if he didn't have something. But sometimes it's like if you get along with people. Sometimes it's like if you are fun to hang out with and get along with people. So I've seen a lot of ask
if you're playing the right politics.
That's where I was going.
If you're playing the right politics and you're the right guy at the right time, then things just get handed out to you. And whether you can write a comic book or not, or know the characters, like I saw a lot of fans trashing his Batman Catwoman wedding, where he looked like somebody who didn't know the media, didn't know the fan base, didn't know the characters, but he got this plopped right in front of him because he was playing the politics. So he was the right guy in the right era.
You know that for sure, right? Because you're in the inside, right?
You
know that for sure, right? Just say you know it for sure. Just say you know it for sure.
It's easy to look at. It's easy to look at. It's easy to look at and see what's happening.
You fucking don't.
I can look at it and see this guy came out of nowhere, doesn't know how the characters, doesn't know how to write them, and the fanboys are like
your mouth and shit just comes right out. It's ridiculous.
You look at it and it's plain as day. But if you want to deny
maybe
it,
he got
you
it
can deny it all day if you
like
don't want
what
to
he did.
accept the truth.
How about that? How about he got the next thing because they liked the last fucking thing? Like every other fucking writer. Hey, you did well on that. Let's move you to this.
Look at his sales. Look at his sales outside of Batman.
Never
Look
wrote
at
a
his
good
sales
book,
outside of Batman.
Batman,
Anybody can
through
sell.
the fucking X-Men, right? He never
What
wrote
was
a
his
good book
Mr.
before
Miracle
that.
sales? What was his Mr. Miracle sales? Like nobody even knew that book existed.
Go look at the fucking sales. You don't even know what they were. You have no fucking clue what they were.
Yeah, I don't know. What would I type in to find like Tom King book sales?
I've seen the numbers. Like he hasn't
what were they?
outside of Batman, and his Batman was shit on by the fans.
You know them. What were they? Tell me, what were they?
Oh, because I don't have the exact sales. ICV2 doesn't even post sales numbers. ICV2 doesn't even post sales numbers anymore because DC and Marvel want to protect their numbers because they're so bad. So you can't even find sales numbers anymore on the website.
Yeah, I don't.
They're so bad.
Yeah, I don't see anything. Nothing's really coming up. AI overview based on providing search. However, one result mentions the Vision from 2015.
Which one?
Number one, it says it's number one. Tom King's highest selling comics according to Marvel.com. So the Vision was 2015's number one selling book, but it doesn't give actual sales. So it could be, anything because it doesn't really get into it. It would be interesting. I wonder how many best-selling books I worked on.
You worked on a ton.
He won the Eisner for Batman, the Batman Elmer Fudd special, Mr. Miracle. I mean, so he's got 3 Eisners already, right? But no, he hasn't earned it. It gets plopped in front of him.
He won an Eisner for Elmer Fudd. Okay.
That was a good book.
I take everything I said back. Like anybody who can win an Eisner for Elmer Fudd.
Elmer Fudd with Batman. Did you read it? Did you read it? I
didn't know it existed.
Do you even know who drew it? Lee Weeks. It was actually really good.
Well, I think probably a lot of the reason it did well is because Lee Weeks worked on it.
Well, Lee Weeks is a great storyteller visually.
Oh, exactly. A writer can turn in crap, and Lee Weeks will make it look amazing.
The best writer award, Eisner Award. You can get the best co-worker award or the best blowjob.
Well, that would have been probably more accurate. Best
writer award. Got it? Are we good now?
I don't agree with you. I don't agree with you.
You don't have to. I'm not the fucking guy who gives out the fucking
has had a silver. I think this guy has had a silver platter.
He won.
I think he's had a silver platter placed in front of him his entire career.
He won 4 Eisners for best writer. I don't give him out. You don't give him out. You don't fucking decide.
The Eisners
are candy coating.
The Eisners are candy coating for who's in charge, who's in power, what politics are playing behind the scenes. They pat each other on the back.
Is that in the fucking white paper? Are you fucking kidding me?
It absolutely is.
Oh yeah. You
think these awards are for legitimate credit? You think these awards are for legitimate credit? No. These awards are for who's making money off of who's patting each other on the back, who's buddies. None of these awards are for legitimate achievement. All of these awards are for where the money is flowing.
You're going to get an award soon. You know what it's going to be? For just shit coming out of your mouth that doesn't come from anywhere. There's no substantial.
All right, let's move on because this is one of those he said, she said, and it just isn't really gonna go anywhere. I appreciate the points of view, and I think there's just as many people that don't like Tom King and that like him.
I get that.
I mean, you can say you don't like somebody. That's fair enough. You don't like them, right?
We can always agree to disagree.
I get
Right.
that. And there's probably, and not every writer writes gold.
Yeah,
Right? You have some hits and you have some misses.
absolutely.
You got to give a guy credit for fucking doing it and trying.
I give anybody credit for having success in this career, no matter how you do it. Comics is a very hard business, and if you can have success,
look what he wrote. He said the guy started out as an intern for Claremont. So this guy, before he ever joined the CIA and never worked for the CIA, really had a passion for comics, and probably did that job for free, right? And got to be Chris's intern. So you know what? That's called passion, and I give that kind of guy credit any day.
Okay. Yeah. So Tom King, you either love him, hate him, whatever. The proof's going to be in the pudding. So I heard that Wonder Woman, or not Wonder Woman, but Supergirl script was strong, but that came from James Gunn. So take that with a grain of salt. So we'll see. Like when that Supergirl movie drops, if it's good, then guess what? Then guess what? We'll be saying, yeah, Tom King's got the shit. He's good at what he's doing, and James Gunn made the right decision. But if it doesn't, well, then guess what? It proves that he's a freeloader, that he's kind of schmoozed his way into these positions, because ultimately the work is going to speak for itself. I think the reason I don't dig the guy is because that Batman Catwoman thing was fucked up. That was a major betrayal to every comic book reader out there. I don't know if that was his ultimate, idea, how to market it, merchant, do all that stuff. But man, the thing is, you could not have set it up any stronger. You could not have had any more people that were interested in it. And then you have Catwoman stiff him at the end. That, you know what, the thing is, this is what Hollywood, and this is what these writers, these people have to understand. You know how they say, what do they say? They say, go against the conventions, like set it up one way, but then pay it off a different way. What is it? Expectations or whatever that Ron, what was the guy that directed the Star Wars?
Yeah, the Last Jedi guy, whatever.
Yeah,
was.
Yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, well let's, he gets the lightsaber. Oh, that's kind of cool. And then the first, scene, he throws it over his shoulder like it's just a joke.
And they shit all over the fans.
Yeah, play against expectations. Okay, that in unto itself isn't a bad idea. But if you don't give somebody something better than you promised, right? That's what that means. So if, Ray gives him the lightsaber and then something better than that moment, throwing it over shoulder, whatever happens, or he throws it over shoulder, but something cooler happens out of that, then you go, okay, that was worth it. But you set it up, okay, Batman is finally going to, tie the knot with Catwoman, blah, blah, blah. You set it up over a series of issues, and then it becomes the event of the year. And then you have, Catwoman just not show up. It's like, you can't do that. Because you didn't, what you gave instead wasn't as good as a wedding. You know what I mean? You had her walk away. Oh, okay. Now what? Nothing. That's it. She walks away. Well, at least if she didn't, and she married him, you could play that up as that they thought that this was going to be the be all end all, and it just didn't work out. So then they get a divorce or something, or something. But this story could come out of that. But the way they did it, it's just like a slam in the face of everybody that followed it. It's like, oh, guess what? Nothing to see here. You don't get a wedding. You don't get any of this stuff. So haha. I feel like it's like really taking advantage of the reader and really playing them up as a sucker. And so that's I've never really paid too much attention to his career, but that I did pay attention to, and I didn't think it was cool. But I don't know if it was him. I don't know if that was his ultimate idea. You would think it would come from a writer, right? But Who knows? It could have been a company idea.
Subverted expectations is
That's it.
The phrase that hit the zeitgeist after The Last Jedi, and it's I mean, it's become a thing now in marketing books, in movies, and it's almost like an FU to the hardcore fan base to try and bring it out to what the writers, because there's this mentality in Hollywood, the elitist mentality of Hollywood. We're better than our audience, so we need to like spoon feed them, and like that's where this whole subverted expectations comes from. It's this whole idea of like Star Wars is like, oh, it's kind of passe, it's little kids. Like, we're gonna make Star Wars up here. It's gonna be an elite, like, psychological thing. And it's like that's never what Star Wars was.
Right.
Rapping on the original idea, and they're also looking down at the audience that made Star Wars what it is. And like that's what the whole last 5 to 6, 7 years has been. And it ties in with the whole woke culture, is like we're taking pop culture and we're subverting it because we're so much smarter than you. There's this like smugness about it.
And, right. And it's committing fraud on some level. I'm looking at the Batman Catwoman Wedding issue 50 has more than 30 variant covers. My God, like, could you not have been ripping people off anymore? Like, there's people that bought all 30 of those books.
Oh, 100%. Most of them.
And didn't get the wedding, right? And then it says including proposal, issue 24, the wedding dress 44 and 50. So there were also issues that led up to this, that they expected people to buy. So
this was like Death of Superman with no payoff and 20 more variant covers.
Right. Like it was a betrayal. It was a cash grab that turned into a major betrayal, because if they didn't hype it the way they did, and they just did it matter-of-factly and then didn't have them get married, well, okay, that's fine. It's just another issue of Batman, right? But they made it an event, and they were like, oh, we got 30 different covers. This is going to be the event of the season. And then they don't get married. Well, I don't think that's cool. And they didn't give you anything cooler, right? Nothing better came out of that, Like, I don't know. I can think of one thing like, okay, Catwoman doesn't show up. Oh, shit. What happened? And then they find out that Catwoman got jacked by one of the villains or something, and she's in a fucking hospital fighting for her life. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, that's a compelling story. So you set it up one way, but then you give them something else, right? So, I don't know, do something like that. But they didn't. They just had her leave him at the altar, whatever, and also makes Batman look like a fucking fool. You know what I mean? Like, that's the worst thing for any guy's ego, is just to be left, we've all been stood up probably for dates and stuff like that. That's horrible. It feels bad, man.
No comment.
Dude, you know what? Okay, I'm just gonna go on the side real quick. Okay, there's this girl. She picked the place and everything, and I had been dating her for a while. And so she goes, "Oh, this bar, right? We'll have dinner or whatever." It's like, sure. I get there, and there's nobody, right? And I don't know how my friend knew this, and he just recently passed, but he's always been there when I needed him. I don't know how. Like, all I can say is guardian angel, right? And so it was close. The bar was close to his house, but he just shows up at the bar.
Oh, wow.
Right? So we just had a good time just hanging out. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it was pretty interesting the way it all played out. But it's kind of that type of betrayal. And we're already an hour into it, so we can go into the next topic. I think that we have some time. One of the things I wanted to see what Todd and Clint, like, what their 2 cents was, is one of our brothers, pontificators, Rob Hunter. had I can find his X article or his mention, and I can read it just so we have context. But he kind of passed on fulfilling, and I'm trying to figure out like a okay way to say all this stuff.
Yeah, and I was a backer of the book, so I got the post, and the post has been floated around Twitter a lot. And he was basically explaining his situation, and like that, like he's got debtors, and like he's figuring out like how he's going to pay for printing and shipping, and that right now the project's, it basically sounded like it was kind of dead the way the way he posted it. And this has made the rounds on Twitter. Comicsgate has been posting it around, and rightfully so, because like this is a book that has been promoted on a lot of big channels. Like me and Rob did a ton of shows on my channel. Rob was on our channel on Art's channel. I always think of it as ours because I like to be on here. But this is Art's channel on Pontificators.
Yeah, it's our show, but it was on my channel.
Yeah, it's Art's channel. Let's make that real clear. but yeah, like this is near and dear to our hearts because like Rob's a good dude. Like we all love Rob. I love Rob. Like, and this last year, I've been trying to give him as much advice to try and avoid pitfalls as best you can, because there are a lot of pitfalls with crowdfunding. It is a tricky business. Finances are hard. Time is hard. The amount of work you have to put into doing the book is hard. And there's just a point where the amount of time you're putting into the book and the money you're getting back from the book don't correlate anymore. And I think that's
and that goes for any business. You can get upside down in any business. But
exactly.
Let me read this real quick, just so if somebody doesn't really know what we're talking about. Rob Hunter's a comic book veteran, mostly known as an inker. He got into Comicsgate and started he created, wrote and penciled and inked his own book called Death Raider. And he went through a crowdfunding. I think he did over 30K on his crowdfund, which is really good. It's not bad. Yeah. So he says, saving the Death Raider comic. Death Raider campaign was such a financial disaster. I pissed away my savings in 3 years of my life. I could have been doing anything else. Crowdfunding is nearly dead. That's the statement that I really want to argue. My peers' campaign totals drop with every new release. That's not true. I have left comic books for good, and now I have a very low-paying job in manufacturing, which is still higher than was my livelihood crowdfunding, which was below the poverty line. Why should you care? The point of crowdfunding, in theory, is to cover my bills while I work and promote the comic. Yeah, everybody gets in it for different reasons, but that was yours. This never happened. It was my savings and freelance work that carried Death Raider through the campaign. Yet, I still want to deliver to the fans that supported this amazing project. Where does this leave the book? Either I come to some sort of compromise with my debtors, and the book ships in the fall of 2025, or its bankruptcy for the printing and shipping funds are confiscated. So neither one of those is great, but the thing is, we all get in this for different reasons. I put Chrono Mechanics out through Image Comics and broke even, barely broke even. So that means I didn't make a dime. Everybody got paid that worked on the book, but I didn't get paid a dime. So I never went and wrote a letter like this. You know, we made it work financially. My wife and I, we sucked it up and did something else, right? So these things do happen. Not everybody, you know, does 100K or 1 million sales. You know, so you have to you have to set your expectations in a realistic manner. And I think that Rob's biggest problem was he thought he had a 100K campaign, which he obviously did not. So those things happen for various reasons. It's not always the work was bad or whatever. I mean, or you didn't promote it enough or whatever. Sometimes things are just what they are. And I remember even the second time through Comicsgate, I launched Chrono again, and this is when there was that division, Tenaple and what is it, Mike Miller. Were kind of fighting, and then our fan base was kind of split, and so there was all this tension going on. So that campaign got caught right in the middle of it. So people didn't know who to support, what to do. And so when we ended up finishing the 30-day, because the 60-day is relatively newer, it was still just a 30-day campaign. It was okay, but it wasn't great. And then through hustle, and we gave away so many cool like stretch goal items, and just talked this book up and gave away all kinds of free cool stuff, that we managed to turn it into a 50K campaign, right? And that's just a lot of hustle. That's a lot of belief. And that's people actually coming around and believing in myself and what I could do. But also I had a few campaigns. I had probably like 3 or 4 campaigns that I had already funded and I had already fulfilled. So they also knew, like, I've been doing comics for 40 years. They knew that I had fulfilled. So I had a track record. So things were, you know what I mean? Like, even though I had all those things going for me, it still was like I got by the hair of my teeth. You know what I mean? These things do happen, So Rob's not the only one that these things have happened to, but I think it's because he didn't manage his expectations realistically. Let me get this. I know you want to say something, Clint, but I'm going to read Paul Taylor's $10 super chat. I backed Death Raider. I made a long post on the video art did with his wife. He ruined his rep. Don't burn backers. He'll never get another cent from me because he didn't fulfill and didn't refund. Yeah, well, there's 2 things just on that real quick. He should either offer a refund, but the reason he's not, I'm almost 100% sure he doesn't have the money. I think he lived off of that money. Sadly, that's another rule you never do. But the thing is, he should send out a digital copy to everybody back. He should just do that right now. He should just send out a digital copy, whatever state the book is in, and just say, I know this doesn't make up for it, but this is me working towards amends, right? This is me working towards giving you what I promised. And this is all I can give right now. But I'm working on, still fulfilling and all that other stuff. Because I think that would go pretty far. Oh my gosh, look at Randy Howe. Death Raider, 32,270, 720 backers.
That's a really good amount.
Dude, that's
I've never had close to 720 backers for all of my campaigns for the last 6 years.
Yeah, because the thing is, that's why I did want to talk to you, Clint, because you run these lean, mean campaigns, and you get in there and you kick ass and you make it work financially because you've done all the math, and then you stick to it, right? One, you got a great reputation as fulfilling. And because of that, they know you're going to fulfill, but they also know what the product's going to be, right? They've seen the books. They've seen what you can do. And so they know the level of quality that they're going to get. That means a lot. But go ahead. I know you want to say something.
No, and I don't know that there's anything to say because everybody kind of knows what it is. I'll just go into my history. So, like, I knew Mark Polton from working at Arcana Comics, and I saw him and John Malin do astronomical numbers across social media in 2019. And I threw out an email to Mark Polton Mark Polton, great guy, great creator, has an amazing track record with Comicsgate. He's put out a ton of awesome comics. And so me and Mark Polton did Codename Kill Switch and Sea Dog in 2019. It was his idea.
Yeah, I had you guys on the show. Yeah.
Yeah. That's how I met Art. That is literally how I met Art. That's why I'm on the Pontificators today. So this all like plays through.
For now.
Yeah. but
that was a good one.
But it was perfect. It was perfect. But like that's like how these things happen. And that's what Comicsgate is all about, is kind of doing these connections of creators and like trying to do your own books. And like literally I met Rob through Art, and I had Rob, and me and Rob did shows on my channel a ton. And my whole thing was like, this is a tricky business. Like, you have to look at your bottom line the whole time. You have to be as efficient. You cannot waste time or resources or money, because like not all of us are Ethan Van Sciver. Not all of us are Shane Davis. Like, we're not, like, you're not going to bring in all this money, but you can make your comic if you're smart about it, if you have a dedicated fan base, and if you fulfill and like keep that dedicated fan base. And this is what's so frustrating to me, is like me and Mark Polton, 2019, fall of 2019, for 5.5 years now, I've been putting out 2 books a year, delivering on all of them. And like Rob, and then I'll throw another name out there with Rob, is Jimmy Reyes. Like, these guys are on big shows, getting a lot of audience, bringing in money, and there's their first time books and hadn't delivered before. And it's like, you have to look at who's delivering your books. You have to, not that it's the backer's fault, but it's like, I have this history of 5.5 years of delivering books, and it's just frustrating. It's like, and I love Rob. I don't want to see him have these difficulties. I want him to fulfill his book, but it's hard. It's really hard. And that's just the thing, is you get honest, and it's like, I don't know.
You have to keep your word. You have to keep your word, because at the end of the day, that's all you have is your reputation and your word. When I did a show yesterday with Pamela, because she was upset, and I thought it would be interesting for her to say her piece. And so one of the things that was coming out in the chat was like that some people were saying they're not going to back a first timer. They're not going to take a chance on a first timer. So they're going to see if you have fulfilled the campaign and all that kind of stuff. And I think that's fair. That's fair. If you don't have the money to suspend faith in this new project or whatever, then do what you have to do. It's all okay. And then we were talking about, I saw what was it? Bob said Detective Dead. What a lot of people don't know is Pamela was the editor on that, and she should have got co-writer credit, because she was re-scripting a ton of that book with Critias, and so I mean, he kind of didn't fulfill. And then I saw somebody else. The Brutweisers. Yeah, I think I still haven't got my Red Rooster book. Like I did back that. We didn't get that book
in the Walmart leftover bins.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, Mitch is a good guy. Like, in the early days, I really got along with Mitch, and we had hours, on the phone talking. And so he wanted Chrono Mechanics to be part of that, getting into, what was it, Target or whatever it was.
Dodged the bullet on that one.
Oh, well, it was never even going to happen, because I heard the deal and I was like, I'm not giving some investment company my IP, because that's what you had to do. You had to give your IP to this brain trust or whatever it was, and then you would get like a paycheck out of it. And I was like, that means too much to me, and it's not worth it for me to get into a retail store, because I also like been there, done that, right? We've talked about it on Pontificators, like that whole way of getting comics to the readers is dying, and it has been dying for decades now. So really, crowdfunding, what we're doing, is the savior of comics. This is the way to go, because the other stuff is dying. And also the thing about it is, I look at it when the industry was saying pencils down, Clint and Todd, we were still making comic books.
Yeah.
We were still on the show every week. We were still talking about our projects. We were still drawing our comics and things like that. So this is freedom. This is what freedom looks like. And this is what the industry moving forward is going to be. It's going to be the direct market, direct to consumer. You know, what Clint and I have been working. God, what did you say the year you started with the
fall of 2019? I put out 11 books, so 2 a year.
So you've been doing this for 6 years, 7 years?
5.5 years.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was working as a comic book artist for publishers before that. So it's
right.
Like,
but I've been in the crowd fund for 9-10 years now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, because I was crowdfunding before Comicsgate, you know, at Kickstarter. So I saw the merit in it early on. And I was doing crowdfunding. You probably remember some of this backlash too, where people were like, oh, well, if you can't make it in the mainstream, then you crowdfund, you know, like they were
it's totally shifted now. It's totally.
Oh my God. Yeah. Now it's like, it's the place to be.
I'll talk to pros, and they'll talk about pitching a book to Image or crowdfunding. And like just because I've been in the business for damn near 30 years now, I got a lot of pro friends, and I'm like you pitch your book to Image, but why would you?
Exactly.
There's so much more money in crowdfunding, and there's so less headaches, and like the majority of your money is going to go right to Image Central. Your sales are going to be shit. Like, there's no profit margins. Like, you can control everything with crowdfunding. Like, I don't know how Image exists for indie publishers now, unless you've already got a movie deal on the front end of it or something.
Right. But the thing is, it's like, I think a lot of people aren't as they're not like us. They're not like us. They don't want to do all these things. They just kind of want a publisher that does all the back end stuff and takes care of all that. That's what they want. But the thing is, for me, this is freedom. I don't have to ask anybody for permission. If I want to create something, like you're creating the Bad Guys now, like you didn't have to go through committee. You didn't have to get on your knees and say, please, or like they'll say, oh, well, if you do X, Y, Z, then maybe we'll consider it. You know, all that stuff that you don't have to rely on somebody else. You don't have to sell somebody else to believe in it to get it done. All you have to do is create the book and try to get it in front of as many people as possible. That's all. You know, it's a lot of work. It seems simple. It's a lot of work, but it's kind of less headache, because you don't have to rely on anybody else. You don't have to, and you don't have to worry about being canceled. I don't mean by the mob. I mean by the publishing company itself.
Exactly.
You know, kind of thing. And because when I did that Chrono Mechanics through Image Comics, like I said, it was a break-even proposition. But while that book was being made, I invested in another 48-page story of Chrono, right? So I was going to launch that after the other one, right? So I'm talking to Eric Stevenson, and he's like, "We'll do it." He said, but I think the sales will be less than the first issue. And so, you know, we barely got by with the first issue. are you sure you want to do this? So that was very kind of him to talk to me that way. I don't think they would have showed me that now. Like they would just say, no, doing it. But I was kind of grandfathered in at Image Comics and all that other stuff. But I chose not to do it. Yeah. Because I didn't want to lose my shirt. I didn't want to have to pay out, kind of what like Rob Hunter's at right now. I didn't want to have to pay out of my own pocket. So instead of launching the book, I held on to it. And even Black and White, like we did the miniseries, it did well. The next year, I inventoried 3 issues of ongoing, right? Because I wanted to be ahead of the game. Once it was going to be ongoing, so I wanted to make sure I was going to be able to make the schedule and all that other stuff. So I wanted to, be the good boy, play by the rules. And so by the time we got issue 1 out, the year later, that's when the market, that was like 95, 96. The market was really starting to go down in flames. Yeah, and so then we put it out. We did really well numbers-wise, you guys. Like, I mean, it was crazy. Like, by today's standards, you'd go, holy shit. God. But the thing is, all the vendors, everybody we were working with, were still thinking like, oh, Image numbers, right? Yeah. You're selling hundreds of thousands of copies, all this
95,
other stuff, right?
Like they're comparing against 95 numbers.
Right. And so we were like, we wanted to do issue 2, so we went to the vendors. We honored the issue 1 numbers, but we asked them if they would readjust. But nobody that we talked to really saw the writing on the wall. So none of these vendors renegotiated their contract. They were like, absolutely not. This is our rate, blah, blah, blah. So then we had to say, sorry, we can't do it. We can't move forward. So within 2 months after that, these guys were adjusting their rates. You know what I mean? Because at that point, you couldn't. It was fact, right? You couldn't walk away from it. Everybody knew the market was kind of crashing, and so they were a little late to the game. But by then, I'd already moved on to Marvel Comics, right? I needed a secure paycheck. So
97 was a great 97 was a great year for me trying to break into comics.
Oh, it must have been a bitch. But anyway, just to hammer it home, it's like two people. I guess this is directed at Rob Hunter. Like, we've all paid the price. Like, that's two major projects that my whole heart was invested in. I drew those fucking books. I still have 2 issues of Black and White collecting dust. 11 by 17s on the board. I have those books. That story is what is volume 3, and it's going to be volume 4, The Sins of the Father. So that's kind of the same storyline, completely reimagined, but that's what kind of was, the birth of the storyline. So it wasn't all for nothing, but at the time, and it still does, that's a fucking year of my life.
Yeah.
That I put into those 3 books that I'll never get back, and then with the Chrono, the second volume, 48-page story, it still hasn't paid for itself. I lost money on that, so this does happen, so I've talked it long enough. Todd, what do you want to say?
Oh, yeah, we got to go with that.
No, Rob is kind of dear to us, and I really don't. I kind of don't know what to say, because anything I say would be personal, and I don't want to. I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
But there's a lesson to be learned here. I'll say that there's definitely a lesson.
Yeah, for me, the reason I wanted to bring it up is because when I was talking to Pamela, she was saying this reflects on crowdfunding. Because he also in the thing, without a doubt, he said this crowdfunding thing doesn't work. Like he said, it's dead. I think. Was that his actual words? Like crowdfunding? Oh, he said nearly dead. So he said it's nearly dead. But that's not true. I mean, Shane Davis just did crazy.
He crushed all weekend.
Right. So the thing is, there's always going to be levels, right? There's going to be people that are freaking exceeding beyond comprehension. There's going to be people slightly below that. There's going to be people in the middle. There's going to be middle low. And there's going to be people that squeak by, and there's going to be people that lose the shirt. With life, everything works this way. It's not just this crowdfunding. So I wanted to get out in front. I wanted to talk. I wanted to see what Clint and Todd had to say. You guys in the chat have to say about it, because it does kind of reflect on what I'm doing, what we're doing moving forward. And I just want to let you know that Hack Shack Studios, Hack Shack Comics, everything that I do, everything I touch, no matter fucking what, I will fulfill. Like, I always have a plan B. Even if I lose my fucking shirt on a campaign, I have a plan B, right? So one thing moving forward, anybody that's listening that's thinking of launching something, I always work a worst case scenario. I don't go in thinking best case scenario. I always go in worst case scenario. I always have, because then you never get disappointed. And also, if you can make it work based on worst case, then you can make it work, right? And that's it. You never go like, oh, best case scenario, because that could be unreal expectations. You don't know, especially Rob going into it. This is his first crowdfund. He had no perspective.
That was the thing. That was
trying
to buffer him.
The one thing I will say is I thought that he was overdrawing this book, putting way too much time into each panel, each page.
Absolutely.
And you would think a guy who worked with some greats, like Steven Scores for a while, they worked together, would know that, there's a point of, and this is not, we don't have deadlines, but there's a point of, I did enough on this. And he was just overdoing it.
Well, he got the book done, but he was over promising as well, because I think at one point, wasn't it 100 pages?
It was too many pages. It was too detailed on every page. It was way too many pages for his first book. Like, your first book, 48 pages is a lot of pages. All the detail that he put in there. Like, he could have scaled and saved so much time. And it was just so frustrating from the outside, like, sitting there and watching him do this. Because the thing is, you can give people advice. They have to listen to it. They have to be interested in listening to it. And he never was. I think his mindset was, if I pour everything into these pages, it's going to boost sales. And like, at a certain point, like early on, like, you have these super detailed pages, you're going to get a bunch of excitement. But then as the campaign goes on, the longer you string it out, it's just, it's too different.
But you're also only going to get as much excitement as the people that get to see it. If you're not out selling it and you're not out marketing it and talking it up, then nobody's going to see it. So you could have the best comic, you could have the best whatever, but if you don't get it out in front of people, then guess what? It doesn't exist. It just simply doesn't exist. Like, this is one thing you learn pretty early in crowdfunding and independent publishing. If you don't believe in it, Clint, no one's going to believe in it. If you don't commit to it, no one's going to commit to it. If you don't get it out in front of people, no one's going to know about it. Like, it's all you. You know what I mean? And it's hard, especially coming from the mainstream, to comprehend that it's all him, 100%. I'm going to take these super chats real quick. Randy Howell, thank you so much for the $5. Rob's post was written out of emotion. He should have thought of the fans first when writing an update. Later, he could come forward with his problem. I didn't want to really yesterday I did critique his X post, and I'm just going to sum it up this way. Everything he did in that X post was the wrong move. There's no exception. There's no exception. He took the worst possible way, to explain this stuff, because the thing is, no matter how effed up things are for you, somebody believed in your project enough to support it and to back it. And you always have to remember that. They didn't have to do that. You know what I mean? They believed in you. They believed in the project, so they did it. So you always have to think of the backers first. You have to think of the people that supported you first. It doesn't matter how you feel. It doesn't matter what you're going through. It's like, remember, God, I love the song, that Queen song where he says, show must go on, right? He's like, you could be in the worst shape possible, but you still have to go out there and you have to rock that stage for an hour, right? I remember I was close with family members of this band called Avenged Sevenfold, right? These guys were in Europe and they all got the flu, right? They all had buckets with their name on it, like off to the side of the stage. So they were vomiting during the performance, right? They would run off, they'd puke in the bucket, they'd come back out and rock the fucking show because that's what you do. You know what I mean? Like, you fucking rock it no matter what the setting is, no matter what, the restrictions are. And like, comics has always been that kind of dig down, right? Like what is it? Freddie Mercury says, I take it as a personal badge of honor, right? I'm going to fucking do this no matter what, right? This book will come out and it will be the best I could possibly do. And that's kind of how I approach these things. But not everybody understands it. Not everybody has the same dig down. I know that Rob does have dig down, but it's not this indie market. You know what I mean? It's not this platform. Thank you so much, Stealth X5, for the super chat. I do appreciate you guys are freaking really supporting us tonight, and I do appreciate that. Let me see Shadowhawk talk. Wait, hold on. Let me read this real quick. I've never worried about art fulfilling beyond expectations. Well, thank you, Shadowhawk. What's that, Todd?
So I want to say more about Rob because you cut me off, but that's all right. It happens.
Go for
it. One thing Rob was really humble. He wasn't really great at selling himself. Very humble, very well, obviously he's had a career for a number of years, but he could have been a little bit more P.T. Barnum went in here and selling his product and selling himself. Because I think he, as long as he did it right, I think he would have deserved 720 backers. He deserved, but I think he could have done better, and maybe that whole thing wouldn't have been, I don't think you maybe wouldn't feel like he does right now. But that being said, it's, it's definitely like a black mark, and we've had some of these black marks, a bunch of them, and some people aren't even remember something of them, but like Little Girl Lethal, that was a huge black mark.
Oh, that's right. Well, there was a lot of crazy shit going on with that book.
Oh, yeah.
And all those failed campaigns hurt all of us.
That was even a finished book. I saw the finished book, the product. You should have seen it. It looked like Starlight Express in there. It was all gold lettering and it was effects, and it was just like, whoa, you can't. This is not comics. Obviously, you loved all this sparkle, but you fucking bedazzled the whole fucking book like this. It's ridiculous.
Well, it's like what Clint was saying. He was saying, I think you said too, Todd, that one, don't bite off more than you can chew. 48 pages for $25 is the norm. So you don't have to give more than that. That's what people pay for. But when you start talking about doubling things, well, guess what? That's double all your expenses too. So you're still charging $20. It's kind of, it should have been just, he should have known this. So as soon as every page that you add is a page of expense, every day you spend on doing a page is a day lost as far as income. All of these things mathematically make sense. So if you could do like what Clint does, lean and mean, get in, get out of these campaigns, then it can be profitable. But if you drag that on for 2 years, 3 years, he said 3 years on that, you would go, oh my gosh, you'd be underwater too. Most people would, right? Mm-hmm. Because also one thing to think about is shipping is always changing. It's always going up. Printing costs are always going up. So no matter what you charged 3 years ago, by the time you find, you go to fulfill, you're fucking losing money. Some of the shipping,
100%. Overseas shipping from 3 years ago, like you lost like whatever if you had a profit, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah. And the thing is too, like when you get into these things, like there's basic math, right? So the basic math I always do is like 1/3 of the total, like that big total you see, 1/3 of it is shipping, right? 8% of that goes to the platform, goes to Indiegogo, right?
Yeah.
And then I always think like depends on your print run, anywhere between 5 and 10K for your print run.
Yeah.
So what is that? I mean, that's tens of thousands of dollars right there, So the thing is, you have to think about that too. So always going in, like even when if you guys are looking at these like totals, if you want to be fair, you could go, oh, what man, art's cleaning up, but 1/3 of that right off the bat is going into the shipping, because this is my pet peeve about all these platforms. I think shipping should be separate from your total. I think that these platforms, Indiegogo, Kickstarter, the shipping should go here. No one should see that. And then your actual total should be there. And even to the point of them taking out their percentage from that total before it goes up. So then, one, what you're actually making. And then the people that are backing, how much money is actually going to you versus how much of it's going to these other places. But the reason they do it is because it looks good. You know what I mean? Like the optics are really great. It's like, oh man, that's 100K. They don't think about, well, 1/3 of that, is gone. $30,000 of that is going to go into shipping or whatever the hell it is.
Now, I don't know. I'm going to ask you this question because I know we do spend time together afterwards and we do a lot of talking. But did Rob ever come to you and seek any kind of advice or counsel, or what are some of the pitfalls I might run into, or anything like that?
We've talked to him. I mean, you were there. I mean, sometimes we just talk, the four of us after the show.
I would try to give him like advice on like what to avoid, what to do, what to change, and what, like, I could see the book was way too big. He was spending way too much time on the pages. Like the detail was insane. And like I saw how far he was getting behind. And I was just like this is what people expect. Like you're like way above the board on what people are delivering. And this is just your first book. Like you can do all this stuff in your next book. You can leave it as like a big cliffhanger and then have your next book ready. You don't have to do all of this in your first book. And it fell on deaf ears.
There were times that he would show a page and I couldn't, in my mind, reconstruct it as far as like where
there's so many layers.
Yeah, like where he started and where he ended. I couldn't
reconstruct the grayscale, he was doing so much. And
but the thing is, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I don't know if he wanted to be as like, because like sometimes when you get to finally, like when you've been like a studio guy and you've just been thrown on gigs and it's all deadline, and you're just cranking stuff out. And then you finally get the opportunity as an artist to do what you wanted to do. And you just want to like make it your magnum opus kind of thing. I think there is that mentality with some artists, but like that's not doing you any favors if you're trying to make a profit. And it's like you can do great work, but like you cannot like put yourself so far behind the 8 ball that you're never going to be able to accomplish.
I think he had unrealistic expectations.
Yes,
I think the biggest thing he did wrong was he thought he was going to do 100K, because then he's like, well, I can do 100 pages. I can do this. Do you remember his campaign had watches? He was selling watches, remember? Like
that was the biggest red flag.
I was like, what the fuck are you doing?
I don't know what the hell that was. When I saw that, I was like, uh-oh. This is not good.
And the thing about advice, like, yeah, we did talk to him, and to Rob's credit, he always listened. He
Yeah.
was always polite, but you could kind of tell after a while that he just it wasn't getting in. He wasn't really taking anything to heart. It didn't do much good. And so then it was just kind of it was frustrating because you want the guy to do well. You want him to do good. So you're giving him some sound advice. You're trying to help him, and it's still going the way it's going. So these are cautionary tales, you guys. So one, as a backer, I think, like somebody said yesterday in my live stream, that you're only going to back books that have proven themselves, that have already fulfilled at least once, that they have a proven track record. That's one way around it. Try not to become too jaded or disillusioned with it, because there's still a lot of great projects coming out. So crowdfund, as far as I'm concerned, still is the saving grace of the comics industry. So don't lose faith. If you see a great book and you like it, and you feel confident, then back it. Get in there, back it, and we'll see. See how it goes. But I really do think you're going to see more and more people get into this. I had a conversation actually just this past week with two big name comic book creators, and they were asking about how to do all this stuff. And what they asked me, this is so funny. They asked me, is like, what publishing company should I go to get my? And I'm like, what? And they're like, I go, you do comic books. You don't. Diamond is gone. They're gone. Like your biggest distribution out, like supporter is gone. Like I don't like Image. Some of the like Dark Horse, they have they have other distribution channels that they're using. But as far as like if you and I were trying to do something and just go independently, like completely independent, I don't know who we would use as a distribution, because Diamond's gone. I just don't know what you would do. So I don't know what the future for independent stuff like what we're doing is, because you don't have an outlet anymore unless you somehow can publish under like Dark Horse or Image Comics or whatever. Then what chance do you have?
I don't think those models hold up anymore. Those models are done. Those models are done, and this is just something that I've noticed. Like, so here's the thing. Like Shane, who is staying on the cutting edge, out there with his audience, knows where the marketplace is an immensely talented artist, has a huge IP that he has created on his own, and raised like what 86,000 in like what 24 48 hours, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you've got, and this is not to discredit these creators, but these were big names 10 years ago. Mark Millar, John Romita Jr. have got an IP that they've created that has a movie deal attached to it. And they're struggling. I think they're at like 70, maybe 80,000 or whatever. And they launched over a week ago. And it just shows you that the names, just having your name out there doesn't necessarily mean that much. It's like, it's a different marketplace now. You have to adjust to that marketplace. Mark has kind of been off the board a little bit because of the Netflix deal. Like, but Mark is still a huge name. And then Romita Jr. is obviously, been around forever. And like,
well, he's comic book like royalty,
comic book royalty, absolutely. But to look at what their projects did compared to each other, like Shane is an amazing talent, hugely successful. Romita Jr. is a bigger name than Shane. He's got a 40-year career of working at Marvel and then a little bit at DC. But Shane's book is outperforming Mark Millar of Ultimate, all that stuff, all the movie deals, all the I'm forgetting his movie names now, and then Romita Jr. So it's like the marketplace is like there's no stability. There's like you have to figure out and find your spot in it, and you have to play to your audience. There's no guarantees for anybody out there. Like,
right.
It's crazy to me because like seeing Miller and Romita Jr., like I thought that campaign and that they had a movie deal attached to it. It's like that should be
I'll say this about John, his stuff today isn't the same as it was. It has the same foundation, but not the same energy.
Yeah. And
I agree where I'm going to go with to your point, Clint, is that it's different. Like crowdfunding, like what we're doing is different than like being a Marvel artist or whatever. Yeah. Like you could have that name in that arena, right? But that doesn't mean shit here, right?
The IP hypes them up. Without the IP, they're a little bit lessened.
Right. Then it's kind of it levels the playing field. So somebody like us can kick ass in crowdfund because we get out there, we talk to people, we promote, all that stuff. We have a track record. There's a lot of things to consider. But even if you were Johnny Romita coming in, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be successful.
Yeah.
Like you were saying, like you were comparing it to Shane Davis. Shane doesn't have that comic book royalty name. You know what I mean? But he could probably kick Johnny Romita Jr.'s ass in this crowdfund arena because he knows how to do it. Because he understands the market and he understands how to do it. And so there is a difference. Like the crowdfund, like what we're doing is all based on hustle, right?
Yeah, 100%.
The more you hustle, the more you get out there, the more you offer to people, the more you will get in return. What, Todd?
Yeah.
I kind of think if he did it, I don't know if he would, but I kind of think he's the kind of guy that would do it. If he came on a show like ours or even someone else's, John, that would help because he's that kind of guy. He's relatable.
Oh yeah.
He's not like some guys like Claremont. When I met Claremont, he was really, really like, but of an elitist type guy. But he seems really relatable. His wife comes in a room and says, "John, what are you working on?" And he stops and he shows her, "I'm working on 4 pages of this or whatever." So I think he would do well because he comes across right.
I want to back up. Not that they can't do it.
Right.
It's just that it takes a lot of time and energy, and they have to want to do it.
Yeah.
I think there are people that just want to draw their comic book. So the reason, like a Johnny Romita, Mark Miller, also it makes sense because they did Wanted together, right? So they've already worked together in the same kind of capacity. But I almost guarantee you that Johnny Romita is getting a paycheck. Like he's probably getting some kind of back end residuals because I think it's some kind of creator own. Like they've got
a movie deal attached to it already, so all of this is just bonus.
Right? So he's doing it more for a paycheck than like what we're doing. It's like it's freedom. It's a way of life. It's like this is a lifestyle. Like this is what we do. We are crowdfunders. We like to get out in front of people and talk up our comic books. And so some people just aren't wired that way. Even like to your point, Todd, he could be the most charismatic person, but some people just don't want to do it. But also to your point, Todd, and Clint, Mark Miller is getting out. He's going on like some of the Comics Gators, channels and stuff like that.
He's dipping his toe in. He's curious. Mark's an extrovert, and he's like he's got a little Stan Lee in him. He's a little bit of a showman. So I can see him like getting more and more into it just for the fun of it. And that's where
he's not a wuss puss. He's not
No,
he's not
he's
afraid
not.
of the backlash. Like
No.
he's his own
He'll
man.
come on a channel and talk some shit. I have no doubt about that. Like he's not a puss at all.
No, like if he wants to do it, he'll do it. You know what I mean? So it's once again like we were talking earlier, like this is freedom. We don't have to ask a publisher for permission. We don't have to get it okay through a committee. We don't have to draw or write to like an editorial, mandate. We don't have to do that. We can do what we want to do. So I'm going to catch a couple more of these chat. You guys are rocking in the chat. And then we're going to wrap it up. We're going to Clint's got a new campaign, so I know he wants to show that off, and then I'm gonna let you see what I'm working on, and then of course Todd's got. I know Todd's got a project. He's kind of keeps teasing us with it, but I wanted to get this one because I was intrigued. What is that? Tehellum? Tehellum 29? Tehellum. The way I see Eric July. With his Ripperverse, it's like he's trying to make some music tracks to put together into an album because of his background. I'm not sure. I don't really know that much about what he's doing. The one thing that Eric is doing that is completely different from us is when I first started crowdfunding, the crowdfund platforms always encourage you to have the project done or close to being done, because they wanted to make sure that people wouldn't get over their head. So like something like what happened with Rob wouldn't happen. So they would always recommend having the book done or close to being done to crowdfund. And also the old convention was you crowdfunded to pay your expenses, and then you would find a publisher. You know what I mean? And then you'd put your book out in comic book shops and stuff like that. So those things have shifted. And then with Comicsgate, what started happening is that the backers are more like producers. Like it's upfront money so that we can put that into our movie, into our comic book. So you're basically paying for us to make the comic book. So it's a little different because like the comic, we probably have an overview. We might have a script, a plot written. We might have a few pages ready for a campaign, but overall the book really isn't done. So this is quite different than what crowdfunding started as, and it's way different than what Eric July's business model is. Eric July is basically just selling comic books. You know what I mean? Like these books are done, and then he's just selling them through his platforms, and that's a lot different, than what we're doing. So his business model is way different than ours, I believe. And it's just a different way of looking at it. So do you have, here it is. This is Clint's new campaign. This is The Bad Guy. And the link is in the description, you guys. So click that link and go sign up. And
sign up now because it launches on Friday and today is Wednesday. And the only way you can get the secret discount reward tier is by signing up now. So if you have not signed up for the mailing list, jump on that now, completely free. You'll get all the links, all the info for the campaign when we launch, and you'll get exclusive access to the secret discount tier. Launches on Friday, so do it now. You got today and tomorrow. And big launch on Friday. Looking forward to this. This is one of my concepts. I've got my concepts, but like this is one of my favorite concepts because I've always been a big James Bond guy. I've always loved all the James Bond movies. And this is kind of my little tweak on the whole James Bond super spy genre. And basically the concept is James Bond is a complete idiot and he's screwed up the mission and the world is in danger. And there's always that like one bad guy that's like standing up against James Bond that's going to thwart him. Well, this time the bad guy is our last hope because when the super spy screws up, like that bad guy can't spend his money if there's no place left to spend it. And he realizes that, and he realizes he's got to save the world. So that's the concept. This is the bad guy. He faces off against all of these good guys. It's kind of like it's kind of the reverse hero arc, and it's the bad guy facing off all the good guys who are idiots that are like stopping him from saving the world, and he has to like push through and make it to the end and save the world. So a lot of fun, a lot of action. Hope you guys will check it out. Sign up to the mailing list if you haven't yet. Completely free. Gets you access to the secret reward discount reward tier. And yep, that's awesome, man. Love hearing that, Eric. And I'll play the trailer here and we can check it out.
Yeah, please do. I love your trailers, by the way. They're so cool. That's so good. So good, man. Yeah, you guys sign up. It doesn't cost you anything. Go sign up today. Links in the description. Randy Howell dropped this sucker in. It's also in the description. So go do it now. It doesn't cost you anything. And even if you don't back a book, you're still eligible for the freebies. So it doesn't, there's no risk. It's no risk. So get in and do it. Do it now. Do it now.
Oh.
Yeah, I have a campaign as well, and man, it's been heating up this week. So I want to thank everybody that has backed it in the past and everybody that supported it this week. So I do appreciate it. This is Black and White, Volume 3, Sins of the Father, and we are 35K. We finally got to that 35K. Nice. We're well over 35, so 208. We cleared the 500 backers, so that was the big milestone. So we did that, and thanks you guys so much. And here is Sins of the Father Black and White video.
Wow, look at that color.
Yeah. That looks so awesome.
Yeah, thanks, guys, for all the support. Sins of the Father is a two-part story. It's going to be the Sins of the Father story arc. So this Volume 3 and Volume 4 will be that. The first two issues were more focused on Whitney Sung, a.k.a. White, and her origin and kind of how the team got together. So the second two, like Volume 3 and 4, are going to focus on Reed, his past with the MI10, the mysterious disappearance of his father, all of that good stuff is going to be there. So it's kind of like Reed's origin story. And then we're going to kind of redefine like why these guys stay together, Black and White. I always thought like it's like the Spider-Man story or Batman story, right? So you dress up, you're going to be a spider, you're going to be a bat to avenge whatever, the death of your father, your mother, your uncle, whatever it is, right? But why would you keep doing it? Why would you continue to fight crime or whatever it is? So we're hopefully going to be answering those questions of why black and white are going to stay together, in perpetuity and keep doing what they're doing. And so hopefully, we answer that satisfactory. I think we'll be able to, but it's going to be good fun. So we got sci-fi, action adventure. We got where is it? Let's go all the way back here. So then we have some supernatural stuff. We got an immortal Lord Fagin. So kind of a villain from the past, but a villain that Reed Blackett had no idea even existed, but his father did. So that's where the sins of the father comes in. And so then we got Juju, who's Valdoon Priestess. She's kind of like Fagin's right-hand villain, but she's going to be way more than that, you guys. And she can raise the dead. So we got this cool dynamic going where we got high-tech sci-fi meets supernatural, sorcery, kind of stuff. So it's kind of like it's all of those things. And of course, just a lot of good, clean fun, action, adventure. So we have 4 covers with this campaign, A and B. Those are by me and Kyle Ritter, the great Kyle Ritter. The C cover is me and Carlo Barberi, DC Marvel artist. I think he's working on Spawn right now. Actually, I think I saw him do some Deadpool stuff. He might be working on Deadpool right now. Ooh. And of course, CG's own John Malin to wrap up the D cover. So we have these 4 variants. We got all kinds of cool combos. You can get the volume 2. This is the Pedro Eng one and done 22-page adventure. So we have that. You can get 1 and 2 as a combo. You can get volume 3 along with issues 2 or 1 and 2 as a combo. In the jam, you can get everything with the exception of the D cover, though. So if you wanted, you could get the jam. That's everything plus the Juju print. And you can get that D cover as an add-on. And here's the Juju print right here. So it's the only place you can get it is in the jam. And that's 11x17 full bleed. It's beautiful, you guys. It's color amazing. Pencils, inks by me. And you can't go wrong. You guys can't go wrong. We always fulfill. I think this is Hack Shack Comics' eighth crowdfund. So we deliver, and we always deliver at the highest quality that we can do. So I do appreciate all the support that we've gotten so far, and let's continue. Let's continue backing it, continue supporting it, along with Blue Bombshell, which is, I believe, still in demand. So,
yep.
That's in the description as well. And look what Todd's got. Todd's got some cuties here. What is this? Wait a minute. I got to do.
These are some characters that are in the project that I'm working on right now.
Oh, shit. Look at that.
Nice.
That's Bandit. And here's another one.
Oh, damn.
Wow, Todd. It's nice.
Nice work. Oh, Jesus, with the colors.
Yeah, who's doing the colors? Or you don't want to say?
I did that.
Oh, shit,
man,
dude.
with the hair? What you do?
You're gonna do some color work for me.
The hair.
That's beautiful.
Thanks.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
So those are characters that are in the project, and this particular one is really got a small role in this, but a bigger role in something else. But so hopefully, I can get started here in a couple of weeks or so and really get it done. Probably launch sometime after Christmas, I would say.
Oh, wow.
Okay, some advice. Yeah, do it the following year. I launched like black and white in November. So November is bad month, December is bad month, January is bad month. So don't launch in any of those months.
You can launch, but you want to end before Christmas.
Yeah. I mean, you can end before Christmas, but don't do it in December.
At Christmas, everybody spends their money. January and February are dead months. March starts turning around. So,
you know me, I love to market, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna try this to put them in the realistic world. And that's gonna be the angle I take with the marketing.
okay.
You know, almost like part of events, you know, kind of a thing. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
So,
Well, very good, Todd. I'm sure it'll be a huge
Art's
success.
beautiful.
Yeah,
thank you.
definitely.
Character designs are beautiful.
Indeed. All right. Well, we appreciate everybody hanging out with us for the last 2 hours or so, letting us talk about crowdfunding. Crowdfunding is not dead. It is still alive and kicking and doing well. And I still do stand by. I think it is the future of the industry moving forward. So Clint has given us some kind of devil symbols. He's trying to encourage us to go to the dark side. I want to rock. What do you want to do with your life, Clint? I want to rock. All right, man. Thank you guys also for the super chats. I do appreciate it. Pontificator is a weekly show every Wednesday night, 8 Eastern Standard Time. So mark down your calendar. If you guys have not given this a thumbs up, please do so. If you have not subscribed to my channel, please do so. And wait, there's Mike Wilson. Mike Wilson sold his soul. Yeah, D. Snyder. You got some D. Snyder fans here. All right, man. So you guys take care. Have a good night, and we will see you soon. Take care.